The affirming team, it's time for you to take the microphone.
As team affirmative, we define oversight as looking above something. Now, the function of parliament, we define the whole thing as function of parliament. This is generally the role of parliament. One of the roles of parliament is to amend laws, is to make laws, then to represent their constituencies effectively. Ladies and gentlemen, Uganda currently loses 900 billion annually to corruption. This is according to a report by the Independent magazine of 28th July 2019. This is the latest report. Uganda loses 900 billion annually to corruption. That means that Uganda loses 1.8 trillion to corruption in 2 years, ladies and gentlemen. In 10 years, it means Uganda loses 9 trillion to corruption. How many roads can 10 trillion make? How many people are dying every day due to lack of facilities in hospital? Now, first of all, let me first go to our views, then I will come back to our status quo. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we understand that corruption is still increasing, ladies and gentlemen. And we also observe that the role of parliament is to amend laws, ladies and gentlemen. The parliament, this is the sitting, this is our voice, the voice of the country that is supposed to amend laws. And if corruption is increasing, and we also believe that strict laws, if strict laws are sent, they can inculcate morals. We acknowledge the fact that one of the causes of corruption is lack of morals among individuals. And we also believe that strict laws can chase corruption, can chase the bad morals, ladies and gentlemen. On that basis, that is why Uganda is losing 900 billion annually, ladies and gentlemen. According to the report by the Ministry of Health of 2018, ladies and gentlemen, Uganda loses 16 mothers a day, ladies and gentlemen, 15 babies a day. How many are lost in a week? 100 babies a day, 120 mothers a week, ladies and gentlemen. Why? Because of lack of facilities in hospitals. Why? Because the hospitals are lacking the doctors, ladies and gentlemen. And a lot of money is being invested in the parliamentarians who are not actually doing what they're supposed to do. What do they come to do? They come here, sit, ladies and gentlemen. They're discussing the age limit that is not actually affecting the country, that is not actually affecting the country as much as corruption is affecting the country. Like I showed you, 900 billion annually, ladies and gentlemen. That's a big sum of money, ladies and gentlemen, 900 billion. And we're coming here to discuss issues of the age limit, ladies and gentlemen. The age limit, they're breaking microphones that will also require money to replace them, ladies and gentlemen. Is the parliament really functioning? Is the parliament doing its role, ladies and gentlemen? That is why we based on as team affirmatives, ladies and gentlemen. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we also acknowledge the fact that the role, on that basis, allow me to rest my case. Thank you.
Every year, Parliament delays to make laws. Why does it delay to make laws? Some of these laws come into place, and then Parliament is going to take a lot of its time discussing these laws, and so it is not going to come up with these laws very well, and they're going to take a lot of their time to make laws, so the oversight function has not been utilized enough to fight corruption. Furthermore, at your house, committee changes leadership after 2 years. Take a look at the COSASE, it changes leadership every 2 years. Now, after these 2 years at your house, when they have changed leadership, it means a new committee is coming in, and then the new committee is coming in, they have to put up strategies for themselves. They have to come up with a new leadership. They have to come up with more things. They have to come up with rules and regulations that are going to guide their committee ideas. What does this bring to notice? When these people take their time to come up with this new leadership, they come up with a new committee, they come up with the new rules that are going to guide them throughout their term ideas. It is going to take long. These things are going to take long to be discussed, and corruption is going to be on an increase ideas. And when corruption is increasing, it means we are dying every time. It means development is reducing every time. That is why we as team affirmative say the oversight function of Parliament has not been utilized enough to fight corruption. Then now, idea house, when money is given to some of these parliamentarians, they keep some of this money and they take long to account for it. Accountability is low. And now, idea house, when we say the oversight function of Parliament, we talk about the PAC, the Public Accounts Committee, we talk about COSASE, we talk about local government accountability department, then we talk about the government assurance committee at their house. Now when it comes to things like PAC, of recent, the PAC leader, who is the Dadiri West member of Parliament, Nanda Lambafabi, summoned some of these members of Parliament to the PAC, the Public Accounts Committee, and they failed to account for some of these monies at their house. What does this mean? The oversight function of Parliament has failed. Because these members of parliament refuse to turn up, they refuse to come and give us the accountability. And when there is no accountability, when there is no transparency, what does that mean? Corruption is going to increase. People are not being given how their money is being used, how their taxes are being used when it comes to the local government. When it comes to people in the villages there, they do not know where their taxes go. They do not know where their monies go, yet they are paying the money. So now, Idea House, what is the essence of paying your taxes when you even don't know how they are being used? What is the essence of you keeping on giving your money when you don't know where your money is going? They are not telling you that I was given this amount of money and this went to this. Arrest my case.
First of all, the parliament is supposed to get report from the Auditor General, and then this process takes very long. It is supposed to take 45 days after the report has been sent by the Auditor General. But you find that Parliament takes too long to review this information that has been brought forward, to handle corruption issues timely. This shows clearly the inefficiency of the Parliament to deal with its mandate. Still, the committee, which I just mentioned for you, is supposed to change every 2 years. I can give you an example of the Bank of Uganda probe. By then it was under Kantutu. But then when Kantutu left, Munyangwa came in, but did not follow up the Bank of Uganda probe. What does this mean? This shows the inefficiency of the Parliament. The Parliament takes very many years to handle matters that would have just been handled within 3 weeks, within 2 months, and so on. So the citizens keep waiting, and they wait for the results. They really yearn a lot. Corruption in the country is becoming worse than prostitution, dear ladies and gentlemen, because the latter this endangers the morals of an individual, but corruption endangers the morals of the entire nation, dear ladies and gentlemen. It is something that the Parliament has not taken a very good initiative to handle, dear ladies and gentlemen. The Parliament has not also considered the voices of the people down in the villages. They only consider representatives who might have biased information, who might have a biased knowledge of the Constitution. Well, they might send representatives, but you find that these representatives don't give up a very good feedback to the citizens, dear ladies and gentlemen. Now, what do you expect from these citizens who may not understand certain issues in the country, dear ladies and gentlemen? So, as affirmatives, we want all citizens to be involved in the fight against corruption. As Article 17 of the 1995 Constitution of Uganda states that it is a role of every citizen to combat corruption and wastage of any property that is in the country, dear ladies and gentlemen. With this, I would like to rest my case. My third speaker will follow about it. Thank you.
Before I go anywhere, just allow me to make 2 clarifications so that our colleagues can come on board. Number one, on Honorable Katuntu leaving and then Honorable Munyagwa not continuing with the report. Honorable Katuntu had already finished doing the report. It was debated on the floor and passed. Therefore, Honorable Munyagwa could not go back to report whose resolutions were already made on the floor. Number two, on change of committee, we have 2 types of committees. We have standing committees and sectoral committees. Sectoral committees are the ones which handle sectors like the budget and all that. So every year we change membership. And then standing committees, they change after 2.5 years. So you need to note that. But also you said whenever you change, you have to do new rules for the committee, new program. No, we have rules of procedure of Parliament just for 5 years for every Parliament, and we use the same. But otherwise, I'm impressed by what I'm seeing. We do agree corruption is a cancer that is still around. We totally agree. But what have we done as Parliament? We've put in place mechanisms. And the first clarification I want to make on this floor is parliamentary resolutions are advisory. You can't arrest someone for not implementing a parliamentary resolution. But luckily enough, we work and we ensure we push and use whatever force we have, whatever mechanisms are available to us, whatever tools. That's why you could see we do have the 4 committees we've talked about, PAC, COSASE, government assurance, and local government accountability. Now, to make things interesting, those who say the corrupt are people who are working with the government and therefore government can't investigate them. All these committees are headed by opposition. That means government said, look, come and check me, okay? come and check me. I can't check my own people directly. Come and check me. So Honorable Francis Mwijuche, our parliamentary commissioner, who has just come in, his team is the one in charge of accountability committees. But all these, we work together and we ensure we fight corruption together. Parliament has tried this level best. If you saw the probes we've had the Bank of Uganda probe, which was very exciting, and I'm happy most of you followed up. We had that probe of UNRWA, where billions were returned, where we found Chinese, or we are taking our money, putting it in banks and not even utilizing it for the work it's supposed to do. Parliament forced them to return that money right away. And because of Parliament, we do have Chinese companies which were banned not to get any more contracts in Uganda. Because of Parliament, because of being in corruption. We do have accounting officers of MDS, ministries, departments, and agencies. Here at Parliament, their list must come here to be approved. I remember it was last year, we said so and so cannot be approved as an accounting officer, and they were removed. We stood our ground. We cannot approve them. Then we also have issues, of course, like delaying to handle the Auditor General's report. That's a very, very concerning issue. But we do believe most of this work, if we do come together.
Thank you, Honorable.
I want to say yes and no. To this motion, that whereas we have the best institutions compared to the other institutions in the world for fighting corruption, we have the anti-corruption court, we have the police, we have parliament, we have everything. At the end of the day, the implementation is very poor. And therefore, I don't want us to now think that the problem is just parliament. We have us, part of us who are elected leaders, and we are products of corruption. People come to either parliament or to other institutions, and they are products of corruption. So if you are talking about a corruption product, what do you expect of them? Somebody went and bought votes and bribed the voters and became a president or became a member of parliament, chairman of C5 or councillor. What do you expect them to do? You're demanding too much from us. The problem is not about the oversight committees of parliament. For me, the problem is with the implementation. And I want to agree with my colleague, Honorable Tayewa, that we can have the best reports. Most of the reports are gathering dust somewhere in some office.
Inquiry.
Until we see how many generals are roaring because of corruption, until we see how many members of parliament are roaring because of corruption, until we see how many ministers are roaring, we cannot continue to say it is the sub-county chief, it is the LC3, it is the LC1. No, we must do whatever is humanly possible as Ugandans to put pressure on the top leadership so that we move away from just walking and talking, but we go and implement and bite. Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, do they have those best mechanisms? If they have the best mechanisms, are they functioning? Is corruption increasing or reducing? Like I've told you, we lose 9 trillion to corruption, ladies and gentlemen. But they're here debating things of age limit. If you're to weigh age limit and corruption, which one costs as much, ladies and gentlemen? Ladies and gentlemen, they talk about sitting here discussing issues, ladies and gentlemen. Now, like I've told you, there is no bigger problem than corruption in this country. How often do they sit to discuss about corruption, and which measures do they put in place, ladies and gentlemen? They actually misinterpret the resolution. They come here to debate as MPs, not as parliament, ladies and gentlemen. The resolution says that this house believes that the parliament does not perform its role in the fight against corruption, not MPs. Now, they talk about the accounting officer, not MPs, ladies and gentlemen. Is the accounting officer part of parliament or not? If it's part of parliament and is not doing the work, they then is Parliament doing its work, ladies and gentlemen? They should answer that. They say that they have different committees, and among the committees, they have the local government committee. Its role is to investigate cases, ladies and gentlemen. Are they going to every district to investigate cases? Are they going in every sub-county to investigate cases? If they are going, how often, ladies and gentlemen? Then is the Parliament doing its work, ladies and gentlemen, in the fight against corruption? If the Ministry of Finance is to bring back the Treasury of Memorandum, do they verify that Treasury of Memorandum, ladies and gentlemen? Do they follow up to if the Ministry of Finance is doing the right thing? Do they follow up if the Ministry of Finance is telling the truth, ladies and gentlemen? And what are we seeing? Are we developing if our money is being embezzled, ladies and gentlemen? Allow me to rest my case.
Dear members of Parliament, would you please account for the level at which members of Parliament interact with the people? You would not account. And then next, what has been done to go through the Auditor General's report? What have you done? There is nothing. And then the Ministry of Finance is supposed to give report to the Parliament after recommendations are done. That is the Treasury Memorandum. Is that where the process stops, or there is any other process? We don't get you. And then the third Speaker of Parliament accepted really that the oversight function of the Parliament has not been utilized enough. So then what should they do next if they have accepted? Sir, dear member of Parliament, you should really account for those members. You should not just come and tell us the other thing. You should give us the facts. Don't dodge us, please. Thank you.
I really ask you to stop blaming things, but start blaming yourself, because corruption is with every individual. We accept that. But you cannot blame other arms. If we are only talking about you, we have to look at how you have failed. Now, you come and tell us that you receive your salaries. But how much have you done for you to attain those salaries if you're not doing those oversights? If you think that you want to fight corruption, we have to start fighting corruption with ourselves. If you accept corruption, do you think that you should find corruption here and leave it? Be the change that you want to see in the country today, instead of blaming other things that you find actually. You are the people who make the laws, but how much more do you go on to see that your laws are actually followed? How much do you go on to see that people are actually benefiting from your work? You cannot say that I am attaining my salaries when you're not doing what you have been elected for. You say that we are demanding too much from you, but you came out to us and said, please vote me into power. How much do you want us not to demand more from you? Yet you're the people supposed to actually ask us, what do you need us to do? And we tell you what to do. But if you say that we are demanding too much for you, why did you ask us so that you can be our MPs? If you do not work on your oversight, it means Uganda, you will leave corruption here and leave your children to suffer for corruption. Be the change that you want to see in the country today. I therefore rest my case.
You're justifying that you are working with the IGG. But then, if you're working with the IGG, Irene Mliagonja on 6th June 2019, he comes and clarifies that the IGG is working with only 16 districts. Yet in Uganda, we have 135 districts. Now, how are you working with IGG as the parliamentarians? Now, this justifies that you are not working, because not even a quarter of the districts are being covered. Now, furthermore, you came and said that you didn't justify to us the delays in the judicial system. Then you're perceiving that corruption is for everyone. Now, if you're breaching the code of conduct under Article 235, because this calls for dismissal, if you realize that someone is corrupt, why don't you dismiss this person from being a parliamentarian? Now, you're not justifying this to us. Now, corruption is happening because of the bribery cases that are going on. People are perceiving that the allowances given in parliament can actually justify their way through parliament. So they're doing all ways possible in order to get these allowances. Why don't you remove the allowances in parliament, say that there is justice? Now, this really batters me. You're saying it's not your responsibility as parliament to address corruption, yet you're putting, because the religion requires us to put an oversight, and the oversight is on the local government accountability, the PAC and COSASE. Then, how are you saying you're not accountable, yet this is your oversight function? Then furthermore, you're talking about you talk about the citizenship committees at local levels, but you're conducting this once a year. How effective are you being, and how far have you gone in implementing and showing accountability to your people you're serving? Now, we beseech that you come and justify this. I rest my case.
To first make it very clear that I'm taking serious notes, because you are raising serious points, which we should use to improve the way we conduct business here. I'm really impressed. Debating age limit over corruption, that's prioritization of what we debate. You see, what you see in the media is what you think we debate. Here we debate from Tuesday to Thursday, we are debating. From Monday to Friday, we are in committees debating and doing work. But what the media picks out and brings out to you in your schools, in your homes, is what is the problem. We've done much more beyond age limit. When you're here, age limit took like only 1 month, but I can tell you corruption has been debated for over 6 months. Yes, for over 6 months. So our media, you need to help us. You pick out the most important cases of corruption and you bring them out. Two, I want to agree with you on the issue of the Treasury memorandum. I believe we are not doing much on it. It's one issue which we shall pick out as colleagues and we take to Parliament for recommendation. They bring it here, but the attention we give it during that time of emergency handling the budget, I think we should give it its due attention because it's a very, very important issue. And you know the advantage of being here? I can concede on where I lose. And also where you lose, you concede. Number three, it's also corruption. You know corruption is in many ways. It's also corruption to be told that you have 2 minutes and you use 3 minutes. Like the gentleman who went beyond. I saw corruption on the floor and I was like, man, what's going on? But it's very important as legislators. We must account. You see, I don't know whether salary is corruption. Because your teachers wouldn't be here if we go to verify whatever they are doing. The IGG, well, salary, is it corruption? I think what is very important.
Really, I want to agree with you. I want to agree with you that the vigor we used in this house to debate the age limit should be the vigor we should use in the fight against corruption. And that's what I think as members, as colleagues, we need to embark on. And if we do that, and we do our part, and the other people also do their part, we should be able to fight corruption out of this country. Two, I am encouraged by the anger in this house. I'm encouraged by the anger within the citizens of this country. I hope this anger does not just stop at speaking here, that you go and do something about it. That we know the corrupt, they come to you, they give you a few coins and you bring them back here. They are waiting and you're waiting. How much are you giving? Yes, we shall give you. And then we shall come here and steal more money. So if you are annoyed, go and use that anger against us. But if you are annoyed and you are waiting for your share, you will get it. So I am encouraged by the anger. What I'm saying is, don't misdirect the anger. Know where the anger should go. Otherwise, you have the anger, you can raise momentum, it will be misguided, misdirected, and at the end of the day, corruption will remain with us. Thank you very much.
The third negator.
I will only make a few observations, beginning with the fact that however much we will be hungry and annoyed, the problem is that in terms of governance, we follow a legal system, a legal framework. The fight against corruption, especially in as far as Parliament is concerned, follows a legal path. It's not just that you will meet somebody on the street and say you are corrupt, you grab him and throw him in the car. You will require to investigate, you will require to charge, and then you prosecute such a person with evidence. And as a Parliament, I will not entirely agree with you when you say that we have not done enough. As you are aware, Parliament, the roles of Parliament is to appropriate, to legislate mainly, and Parliament has done that in as far as our country is concerned. We have a very strong legal framework that should support the fight against corruption. But as we said, we have a system and separation of powers in as far as the running of the country is concerned. We have the executive, we have the legislature, which is the parliament, and we have the judiciary. So, as parliament, I think first of all we should appreciate the fact that we have enacted quite a number of laws that are supposed to support the fight against corruption, including putting in place all these legal structures. The IGG with the Act Leadership Code, we have the other institutions, the Auditor General with the relevant laws that back them up. Now, the problem is that we have had a challenge in as far as enforcement of these laws are concerned. And this fall within, this duty is the duty of the executive.
As Parliament, that we have tried our level best to put in place the laws which can help at least the implementers to follow and curb this corruption. We've passed the Corruption Act. I was here in the 9th Parliament. We even amended it, but the implementers need to really style up. And this corruption, if we don't do much about it. The other day, we had a march against corruption, but I remember I stood here and told the speaker that the marching was not enough, because if we just march and keep quiet, we've not done anything. So we need to, the cabinet needs to bring a way forward, give us the ways they think we can use to make sure that we curb this corruption. We discuss it together as members of parliament in this house and get a way forward. And I believe when they bring that statement to parliament that day, those who will be there, and I hope we shall all be there. Because, you know, I'm saying like that because, you know, the politics of Uganda here, like as I talk, all of you know that members of parliament are already in campaigns. Majority of them are already campaigning, when actually we don't even know the date we are going to vote. So it's unfortunate in Uganda here. So for that matter, the quorum of this parliament, I believe that whatever is going to be coming from this time may not be discussed well because of the politics we are having. So it's unfortunate, and we are both to blame. You, the voters, us, members, and I think we are all to be blamed about this. I don't know what about...
Okay.
Honorable colleagues and the Right Honorable Speaker, we had another Honorable Senior. We thought that he would also participate, but no problem. First of all, I would like to thank the members of Parliament on the other side. And indeed, I want to agree with you that corruption has eaten the core values of our country. That's a fact. And it's something that we must fight with all our vigors. Coming to Parliament, I would want to clarify on one thing that we are talking about Parliament, but Parliament does not work in isolation. That's what I wanted to mean. Parliament works with other organs of government. And two, when we are talking about accounting officers, members of Parliament, it's like eyes on, hands off. We don't handle monies, government monies, never. The monies that come from central go directly. If at the district level, if at the national level, we have the PS. If we go to the district level, we have the COW. Even if you go to the sub-county level, we have the sub-county chief. Those are the people who handle the monies of government. And when we find that as members of parliament, I was talking about salary, because that's the money that I know, that I have, that I get from Parliament. So other monies go to those accounting officers. So for us, members of Parliament, we put those accounting officers to task to explain how they have used their monies. I wanted to clarify on that. Parliament, we've done our best. That's why we do oversight role, but sometimes it comes as post-mortem, because when we go, we find that schools have been constructed, we find that the drugs have been stolen. So when we get to that level, that's when we find other structures come in, investigative mechanism, prosecution, all those ones follow. But us as members of parliament, we do our work. I thank you so much, and I want to assure you that Parliament is dedicated to fight corruption in Uganda. Thank you so much.
And now we have to bring this to an end. Everyone who is not a member of Parliament, please let's clap for the members of Parliament, thanking them for being here.